Hey there, this is R.A. Menard Mitrava for Monks of the Way, and today I'd like to go ahead and talk about the way, and that's the Buddhist teaching, of course, but it's particularly the Path of Eight. Buddhist teaching is based on two things, well, two different teachings. One is the Four Truths, and the other one is the Path of Eight. And that's what we call them, so we know what they are particularly, but their names are actually different. The Delusion Sutta, the short version, has the Path of Eight, and the setting of the wheel in motion, I believe, is the Four Truths that people most refer to. Now, the way is a process, and everybody goes through it. Now, you can go through it unintentionally and get results as you do, or you can do it intentionally and get measured and disciplined results that are much greater. That makes sense to most people, I'm pretty sure. So let's get into it. What are these 8 areas that Buddha is talking about in our life that we cycle through, that we repeat, that is the way? And we find that first there's the view. Well, you have to start somewhere. It's a circle, so it doesn't really start somewhere. Let's make that clear. It does not start somewhere. However, there's 8 parts. And for the sake of listing them, the first one Buddha has mentioned is your view. Now, in a person that has yet to learn and so is immersed in delusion, such a view happens that is not aligned with truth. Sure. So let's look at our views not aligned with truth. So right view is what we're talking about. So it'll be right view, right urges, right speech, right action, and so on and so forth. And when we say right, we don't mean this is right and that is wrong, and we do it that way. It's more like this is aligned with truth and this is not aligned with truth. Now, be careful there also when you go, this is right view and this is not right view, because not everything's black and white. Pardon. Not everything's black and white, and there's going to be concepts that have truth and delusion in them when you go through life, and there's going to be views you have that have truth and delusion in them. And it's going to be a process of purifying these views that you have, giving up what is less for what is more. So less true, more true. And you'll recognize something as not right view when before it was right view. You believed it. You tested it. You proved it. You were missing something. And when you practiced it, it should have come out that there was something wrong with it. And after that, you accept it, you see. So a process there as well. You know, I have a view. Is it a right view? Well, are you testing it in life? Are you proving it? Did you prove it in life? You think you proved it. You're practicing it. In practice, truth will not cause evil, will not cause an unknown suffering, a thing that is out of our discipline, out of our measuredness. We can't be a part of. And I'm not going to say control, I'm going to say be a part of. I see we got a couple of people that have joined. That's great. So with our view, we want to take a look and do we have a right view? Now let's start with a really bad view. And this is not my view. So please don't quote me as having said this, okay? Black people are lazy. That's a thing I heard from one of my relatives. This is a view that they have. Now, is it true? I mean, is it wise? Is it productive? Is it good for everybody? Well, first of all, it wasn't wise for him because it got him in trouble plenty. And it caused suffering, it caused violence, it caused a lot of things, this view of his, along with other views that were very similar to that. So he couldn't prove that it was a right view. He couldn't test it and come out with proof. And practice in life, he could see that it wasn't wise, it wasn't productive, it wasn't good for everybody. Now let's switch to a positive view. And you can quote me on this one. Hate can't destroy hate. Love can destroy hate. Now, I've tested this and I've proven it. And in practice in life, I've found that it is wise, it is productive, and it is good for everybody. Now, not everybody can get to the different parts of this and work it out. Okay, this is the view. Does that mean that I have such urges? Maybe, maybe not, depending on how much I accept this view. Speech, maybe, maybe not. Action, maybe, maybe not. Action's an important one here. In this particular view that I just mentioned, now people tell me that that's their view, that hate can't destroy hate. They understand that, and that love can destroy hate. But when they're faced with a situation where this can be put into practice, where their actions can match their view, it doesn't happen. Even if they have the urge, sometimes some people don't, some people do, but then the people I'm talking about, they still don't transform it into action. They don't move on it. So a person acts on a, let's say, a person acts in hate, and it's destructive to them. You see it, oh my gosh, I wish I could do something for that person, let alone whatever havoc they create. You could. You could approach that person with love and try to work it out. You could stop the destruction they do if it's on an innocent, to try to help them so they don't have to burden this thing that they've done later on, taking that on yourself. There's things you can do. There's a range of things you can do. You could just sit and talk to the guy for a while and let him try to work some stuff out with those views that he has. Anyway, right view. And we're talking about in line with truth. Next we go to the urges. Now, urges align with truth, urges not align with truth. Well, what's an urge not aligned with truth? Well, just an well, an urge to do violence, an urge to be lustful, the lustful urges, uh, to steal, to acquire, like that, material things. Oh, I could really go on about urges that are not aligned with truth, but I think you're getting what I'm saying. And I didn't just give one like the other of something not aligned with truth. So you can test these things, prove them, and practice in life and see. And you know, being a career thief is not going to be a great life. Even if you're a successful thief and you steal and steal and you become very rich, you can't have happiness that way because you're part of a repeating cycle, and you're never really going to be satisfied. It's never really going to bring happiness. And there are urges like the urge of compassion when you see something's happening to somebody, the urge to be generous, uh, the urge to be kind. Uh, I think you get what I'm saying here about good urges. Are they aligned with truth? They not aligned with truth? We can easily go through the process. Let's go to speech, right speech, because that will confuse people a lot, right speech, because there's a lot of talk about it. I didn't mean that to be a joke, but that's actually pretty funny. So what is right speech? Well, I've been asked lately, we have obvious examples. Let's start with that. I mean, obviously, you're lying to people. That's not right speech. You've you've chosen to deceive a person. You've taken the action of speech. Speech being a little separate than action. You say things, you do things is different. But you're saying these things. You're putting it out there. You're expressing it like that. Expressing deception. That's not right. And once again, I have people saying they know that lies cause suffering. They separate people. You know, they reduce your power. They don't increase your power. And they know these things, but then I see that they lie on a regular basis. And sometimes even about things where there's no particular payoff for them. They just do it. It becomes part of their life practice, or it has been from the beginning. I don't know. But obviously they say they know it, but they don't translate it. It doesn't continue in the process. And they need to look at that and ask themselves why, what's going on here, and get to the root of it. The root of these things is important. Through this process, we're rooting things out. We can look at each one of these things of a particular thing and see where it is that we're hung up, which ones we need to work on, which things are maybe non-existent. But speech, very important. It's the first part of an outward expression. Why you do things is more important than what you do, because what you do passes. But why you do things, it sticks with you. But I've been asked recently a tricky thing about speech, which is sarcasm. Is that right speech? Well, usually it is. I mean, you're not actually trying to deceive anybody with sarcasm. It's a thing that people are supposed to understand that you're being sarcastic. However, it can be repeatedly negative, and it can be also include negative self-talk. It can be a negative practice, and that would not be in line with truth, right speech. But using some sarcasm, okay, not it's not going to be tested and proven that it's bad. It's not gonna in your life practice be ruining your friendships, ruining your self-image, ruining all this stuff. And so that's something to look at. And this race speech, I was asked, well, what if I lied and I didn't know it? What if I said something to somebody, I said it was true and it wasn't? I feel bad about that. Well, it's okay that you feel bad about that. You need to forgive yourself. And if you can make it right with that person, make it right. Um, so you want to clear it up. If you have bad things, you want to clear them up. And there's different ways to do that. One, at first, is realization, of course. And I know I'm slowing down here on the speech part of the 8, and I really need to get going to keep the time low so people don't feel so intimidated by the size of the video. So I probably don't give you as much as I would in person. I guess I know I don't, but I'm doing the best I can here. Let's move to the next one so we can keep going here. Action. Action that's aligned with truth. I think we've all done things that we know were really not good. They were not wise. They were not productive, and or they were not good for you or anyone or everyone. So we do a thing and we have an intention. And with all these things, we have an intention, a thing within us. And we follow through this process. Now, if your intention in an action is compassion, it's not a wrong action. You'll never really do something wrong in compassion. But understanding that compassion can be a real thing, where you thought you were doing the compassionate thing and you weren't. Okay. Is the action still right action? It is. It is. What, you think a person maybe needs to do better than they can comprehend? Well, who can do this? No one. No one can do this. So this is a thing to be forgiven. If in fact things go bad and you didn't intend it that way, and you did what you were supposed to. You had the right action. Now we're going to move on to way of living, the way you live. You know, the way one person lives and the way the other person lives can be different, and they can still be as aligned with truth. So let's say, and I don't want to knock people off track here because people have different opinions of these things, but one person is expressing love as best they know how in one kind of relationship, maybe same sex, and the other one's different sex. One is a relationship without sex. One is a relationship with sex. Maybe all the above are married. So we have things that are the same and things that are different, but there's no necessity that any of these people are not aligned with truth in the way they live. So you work at a slaughterhouse. That's part of your way of living. It's your means. I think right away people know that this is not right and not aligned with truth. You can't be participating in killing and thinking that this is a right way of making a living. Such with salesmanship, where you lie to people, where you intentionally deceive them. There have been salesmen that they come to the door and they give you the spiel and they believe in it, but they are deceiving you. They just don't know it. They've been sold a package of goods. They believed it. They came to you with it. But there's others that they're crafty and they know that they're deceiving and they seek to deceive in different ways. And whew, there are many. So way of living, I think we have a grasp on a way of living. You participate in going to the soup kitchen and helping out back in the kitchen. Hey, align with truth, try it out. I think you'd find that would be aligned with truth. I mean, I'm not going to say every time, but certainly it seems that would be the case. We have direction in life. These things pile up. So within a person where action is not aligned with truth, such way of living happens that is also not aligned with truth. And you go to the next, within a person where their way of living is not aligned with truth, such direction in life happens that is also not aligned with truth. The direction in life, where is your life taking you? Is it taking you anywhere? Is your life productive? Are you living it wisely? Is it good for everybody? Is it good for you? Many people don't even have a direction in life. They're like a dead grass blows in the wind. It moves, but it doesn't really go anywhere. It just moves with the wind. And some people do accidentally end up somewhere, accidentally have success. It just happens. It does just happen sometimes. And some people, through no real fault of their own, wind up in a dead-end disaster life. Because I say no fault of their own. I'm saying they're not actively participating in that direction in life. That they're just letting the wind blow and going with it. But a person can have a direction in life that's positive, that is productive for them, that where they keep making investments in happiness and they keep cutting off their funding, if you want to put it that way, for sadness, for anger, for fear. That these directions in life that lead them there, where are they leading you? And you have to ask yourself, is this really what it should be? Maybe a path in life is leading you to wealth. And is that good for you? Is it bad for you? What, I don't know. I don't know. I do know that wealth is a terrible burden for people, and not very many people can really handle wealth. That being said, being wealthy is not bad. I guess I don't want to really get into that because it gets into all kinds of stuff, but I think you understand that section of it. And we go to the next one, within a person where application, within a person whose direction in life is not aligned with truth, such application of the way happens that is also not aligned with truth. So you're trying to apply what you know is true to your life. And either you're doing it and you're doing it in a way that's working, or you aren't figuring things out correctly and you're trying to apply stuff that's not right or applying it in a bad way. And all that can happen. So this is a particular place that Buddha has mentioned, application of the way. And next I don't want to spend too much time on that one, but I would like to spend more time on it at some point. And maybe I'll make a video on each particular one at some point. I probably will. Within a person where application of the way is not aligned with truth, such transformation or realization, you might want to call it, in deep contemplation as a result of causation happens that is also not aligned with truth. And that's a little wordy, so I'll go over it one more time. Within a person where application of the way, not aligned with truth, transformation happens also, not aligned with truth. It's in deep contemplation as a result of causation. It's important that we know that, but for the process of just going through them in a row like this, we're not going to concentrate on that part right now. And this realization, this contemplation that you have as this part of the way, this is going to make it so that your views change and the wheel turns. It goes around again through all these things. You'll find that a thing in your life hits all of these different areas. And we need to be aware of how it does, how each of these things is happening in this wheel. And the wheel keeps going. And this is the way. This is the way it happens. This is the way we're able to accept what's true, is going through this. And that contemplation is important. So should you meditate? Absolutely. Your contemplation should be purposeful. One thing that you can do is at the end of the day or at the start of the next morning, you can just take a little bit to meditate and run through what happened as an observer. And so you can have some hindsight in what happened. You could just take a little bit and meditate on the future. What do you think the future has for you, and how do you think you're getting there? But the now, of course, the now is where you're living, and that's where you should normally dwell. Not in the future, not in the past, but in the now. So I tell people, they say, oh, I have plans and someday I'm going to do something. But what about today? What could you have easily done today you didn't do, that you thought was important, that you thought you were going to do? Small things even. And I'm going to go and mention that this transformation might not feel good. what you get in contemplation. Figuring out that you've been wrong about stuff, or you've been stupid, or you've been abusive, you didn't even know it. This can be hard on a person. I'm not going to say that all of this is going to feel good. Not everything that feels good is good for you. Not everything that feels bad is bad for you. Nature can only get you so far, and then you need to make a new nature, a new normal. And that's what the way is about. It's about this change, this transformation in you as a result of causation. Now, I want to mention that the truth directs the attainment of qualities that are productive, followed by compassion and kindness. You'll find that as you go through these, more directed with truth is going to make you better, and you'll feel better overall. People have depression, and they say, how can I just be happy? Well, some people tell them, well, just do it. Just think nice thoughts. No, that's not very constructive. Or just stifle those bad feelings. Just push them down into a tight ball in your gut until they build up and explode someday. Also not good. You can make incremental changes. You can feel your feelings and let them pass. You can realize that your emotions are not reality. They're how you feel about things. There's many things as you go forward that you need to think about, and I can't go through them all here. Anyway, I think you got an overview of all this. I hope I've been informative, helpful, shed some light, made things clear that were blurry, set things up right that were in disarray, organized things that were disorganized for you in some way. Now, I guess in closing, I'd like to say that this wheel, this 8-spoked wheel symbol of Buddhism, turns, and for everybody it turns. And the way is the way. That's how it works for everyone, not a particular person. It's a universal truth. And I wouldn't expect you to just believe such a thing. I'd expect you to test it, prove it, practice in life, and see if it really is that way. And you'll find that it is. So, like with many teachings of Buddha, and this is connected to the Four Truths also, I want to thank you for having a listen. I hope that truth will remove delusion in your life the way light removes darkness. And I hope for all the best things in life for you. All right. Thanks again for having a listen.